Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. By definition, the pattern of narcissism is very self-centered. Narcissists have to have their own way about whatever's going on in front of them, and as a result, they tend not to have much objectivity at all when the differences between you and that person come to the surface. The narcissist will accuse you, and many times when they're in an accusing mode, you can be thinking, wait a minute, you've got to be kidding me, because you're talking to me about some issues that you yourself can't come to terms with. For example, they may say something like, you're the most impossible person that I've ever had to deal with, or I just can't reason with you, or you're so defensive. And as they're saying these things, you may be thinking inwardly, or you may actually say it out loud, I'm being accused of the very things that the narcissist does to me all the time. Now, in their accusation, narcissists can come across as very offensive in their interactive style, when in fact that offensiveness is merely the backside of a strongly defensive mindset they have. In sports, sometimes they say the best defense is a good offense. And so as long as they can keep you on your heels, then that keeps them from having to come to terms with themselves. Narcissists will tend to go into a lot of denial about who they are, and then what they'll do as they deny their own problems, they project their problems into you. They see in you what they don't want to come to terms with in themselves. This is why they very easily go into blame shifting, or they refuse to take responsibility. They're constantly the chronic victim. It's their way of concocting an alternate reality, is what we call it. And in their alternate reality, they think, well, I'm the really healthy person here. You're the unhealthy one there. And you're just shaking your head thinking, man, you got it completely backwards. Now, in this denial, then projection kind of a mindset, there are many ways that this plays out. And I want to give you some examples of how they do this, and some of their most common accusations are, keeping in mind that whenever they do this, it's their way of saying, I refuse to take responsibility for me. I'm putting you in charge of trying to make me feel good. Let me give you the first one. Many times you'll hear the narcissist say to you, you know what? You have some serious control issues. I remember sitting in my office. There was a wife who was a very difficult person, overbearing and nitpicky to the max and super critical. And one of the things that she said to the husband is, you need to stop telling me that I'm controlling, because every time you tell me I'm controlling, you're wrong. Okay, and it completely went by her as I was sitting there thinking, well, you telling him he's controlling is you being controlling. You're saying, let me tell you how to think. And she didn't see that to save her life, but nonetheless, that's how it works. I'm not controlling. You've got the problem, even as they're being controlling and telling you the problem. Or another illustration. The narcissist can say, you've got a serious problem with truth. You lie a whole lot. You can't be honest. Now, many times these individuals themselves are holding back and being dishonest, but you see, that's different. I recall one man who was an extremely self-absorbed kind of a guy. And he would say, well, yeah, sometimes I'm not always straightforward with my wife. That's because she doesn't deal well with truth. And she struggles with trying to figure out what's up and what's down. So sometimes if I lie, it's because she has a real problem with honesty. And somehow he was able to make it her issue when in fact it's like, no, you're the one that's got the issue. Or another accusation they'll sometimes bring toward you. They may say something like, you're just a bad character kind of person. And, of course, if you make a mistake, then bad character. And I'm thinking, no, that's a pattern of thinking that you have been caught up in for a long time. Narcissists tend to be very black or white. And so rather than breaking it down, saying, well, there's a mistake here, there's a difference here, let's just examine that. No, they go straight into judgment, and the shame says your character is defective, you're defective. Or another accusation they often make as part of their denial and projection is they may say something, I just feel that you're real sneaky, or you're evasive, or you're hard to pin down. And it may be that you've done something and you didn't have a chance to talk to them about what the plan was, and they're saying, see, that just means you're sneaky. Or it could be that somebody called you at the last minute and started talking with you about it, and then you explain that to the narcissist, and they say, well, why didn't you tell me any of this? The implication is you're always keeping secrets from me. And it's like, no, there's just all sorts of things that come into the pattern of communication, but no, you're sneaky, and they can't break it down and be objective about it. Or another one, and this is probably one of their most favorite accusations that is part of their projection. They'll point the finger at you and say, you are so emotionally unstable. Now, first, never mind that they can set up and create the circumstance where emotions can feel pretty tense. And then, in addition, they accidentally, on purpose, forget they have this irritability and agitation they carry around. But no, you are emotionally unstable. They're projecting into you. Or another one, just right along with it, you refuse to receive guidance. You refuse to receive input. You are so closed-minded. And again, they don't see it when it comes in reverse. Or another one is they may think, whenever we disagree, you always have to have the final word, don't you? You just always have to have the final word. You're so bossy and so overbearing. And you're thinking, well, yeah, this is being spoken to me by the most stubborn person I've ever met. Go figure. Or another one, and they may be the kind of person that pontificates with all sorts of opinions and ideas about how the way things ought to be, and yet they'll point the finger at you and say your opinions are not well formed. Your opinions are closed-minded. Your opinions are inadequate. And you're thinking, I'm being spoken to by one of the most dogmatic people that I've ever met, and yet somehow that individual has decided that I'm the one who's the closed-minded person. That's how it works. And the more you get into this, it's crazy making, because they just simply can't say, if I see some issues in you, before we go there, I need to take a look at what I'm bringing to the equation. They can't think that way to save their life, keeping in mind they're in a highly defensive posture. Their denial and their projection toward you is their go-to coping mechanism. It's their way of saying, if I have strain or difficulty or problems, I've got to take care of me. And the best way I can take care of me is to diminish you. And they happen to speak about the very issues that are on the inside of themselves. Very early in that person's life, the narcissist decided if I'm open with respect to my vulnerabilities, or if I'm show myself to be willing to hear input, it's not going to go very well for me. At the very base of their defenses, at the very base of their denial and projection, is fear. And again, narcissists don't like to say, yes, I'm a fear-based person. But indeed, they fear humiliation. They fear embarrassment. They fear being judged. They fear being rejected. They fear looking foolish. They fear being a mistake maker. They fear appearing to be inept. They fear losing power. They fear having to change. These individuals are deeply fear-based, but instead of admitting it, they'll just point at you and say, you got issues, don't you? So you can see that, like I say, their coping skill is to see issues within you that they simply don't want to or refuse to come to terms with inside themselves. And with just about every single narcissistic individual, this is front and center in the way that they engage. So, knowing this to be the case, what are you going to do? How are you going to respond? Now, let's keep in mind, you are being gaslit. The narcissist in their gaslighting wants to keep you in a state of emotional and mental confusion. So your number one challenge is to stay objective. What do you know about you? What do you know about the circumstance? The narcissist wants you to become subjective. They want you to get emotionally reactive. But instead, your challenge is to say, I understand what the facts are. I'm going to stick with it. So I'm not going to satisfy the narcissist's need for me to blow up so they can say, see, you're the problem. You just proved it to me. In addition, as you respond to this, rather than trying to convince the narcissist about your decency, they're not going to go along with it. Just hold on to what I refer to as your calm confidence. I know who I am. I know that I have my own decency. And then this is a key thought for you to have. I can move forward even when I'm feeling misunderstood. You want to tie up that loose end, but you're not going to. But I can move forward even if I'm going to have that loose-endedness. And so that being the case, you would want the narcissist to know and understand you, but then you'd have to ask, but do I have to have that person's concurrence before I go through? And my answer is no. You don't need to hand over your power to that to a person who's already in a power-grabbing kind of mindset anyway, and who's operating on an incredibly low level of self-insight. And so just know you're going to have loose ends, but you continue to be your own healthy self anyway, and you apply your healthiness separate and distinct from that individual. By the way, you've probably heard somebody say before, when narcissists accuse you so many times, it's their own veiled confession. You've got some issues with criticism or anger. And it's their way of saying, no, actually I do, but I'm just going to see it in you. It's a whole lot easier for them. But in the end, what they do is they keep perpetuating the very things that they complain about. Go figure, but they don't have the insight to go into that space. Your task is to stay objective, stay your course, and when the narcissist predictably comes with the blame shifting and the victim shaming and all of that, I'm hoping you can remind yourself they're having a hard time coming to terms with their own truth, but you know what? That's just not my problem to solve. Now, I hope that videos like this can give you some good awareness of what you might be dealing with. If you have not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. We're going to keep more videos coming towards you. And I really thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey with you. Now, I have sponsors for my channel. We have BetterHelp.com. It's an online therapy resource, and you saw the promo at the beginning of this video. Just know that if the need is there, please get the help that you would need so you can gain that objectivity and sift it out. The link is below, and I would encourage you to get that help. Also, we have my website that has a whole lot of resources on there. On the website, we have my courses, which are each course has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts and guided questions, and they're meant to be a systematic therapeutic kind of intervention that you can get into. It takes a lot of work. I put a lot of work into it, and you can do the same in reverse. Along with those, we have my access to my webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations. They're still available, along with articles, my books, plenty of resources. Okay, keep in mind when the narcissist becomes so offensive towards you, they're in a defensive posture, deny and project. And I'm hoping as you're able to see through it, and I'm hoping you also realize you're limited in being able to make them make the adjustments you'd like for them to make. You can go internally and work on that one person you can do something about, and that's yourself. And I'm hoping you can get yourself to a place where you're steady and you continue in that objectivity, because in the end, it allows you to go further and further in your efforts to find your own personal peace.